Well, so back to our top story now. Eskom CEO and 3 other executives suspended to allow for an investigation, or rather an inquiry into operations of the troubled utility. Eskom chairman Zola Tsotsi made the announcement earlier today. Some more reaction now. I'm joined by Xolani Qubeka from the Black Business Council. Xolani, thanks very much indeed for talking to us. As business, we know that businesses have met with Eskom in the past few months to discuss power shortages, to discuss load shedding and power talks, or power cuts rather. You couldn't have suspected or even had a hint that such a big move on suspensions would have happened.
Well, certainly it came as a surprise. I don't think anyone has been forewarned. Obviously, it is a major concern, particularly suspending people at that level. When we have such, a situation around power generation. So it is worrisome, that whilst perhaps the motive may be right, probably they want to look at short-term issues that obviously will have an impact on Eskom's long-term goals. But you need institutional memory. Obviously, the CEO is new. He has just come in. You have executives, senior executives with institutional memory. Therefore, it is important for us to get a background as to what actually instigated the suspension in the first instance.
Yeah, because that's the question. I mean, the question over why suspend, which is not necessarily a very positive thing, perception-wise, when you are going to conduct an investigation. The picture painted is not a very settling one, is it? Particularly considering where Eskom is at the moment.
No, definitely. Government has announced that it's going to pump in money at Eskom. So where is that money going to be pumped if you have a vacuum? It's definitely important, that the board acts quite swiftly in ensuring stability and making sure that as a country we can address this important resource that drives the economy. Already, speaking for small businesses, it has had devastating effects, because people buy goods that needs refrigeration, as an example, and you are uncertain whether your stocks would be consumed or will be lost, I think, in load shedding, etc. Therefore, it is very, very important that whatever measures they want to take now must drive certainty in a long-term.
And that's the key word, certainty. I mean, no matter which part of the business spectrum you're from, business wants certainty. What would you want out of an inquiry like this? I mean, what difference can it make to an already deploring situation that Eskom is in?
Well, I think obviously there is, management capability that may have perhaps impacted what we are experiencing today. But for me, more importantly, what role have these service providers who've been paid billions of rand on the basis that they are competent? Obviously, most of the stumbling block, most of the problems also emanate of the fact that they've been stop, go. And therefore, the inquiry should not just be confined internally. Also, there should obviously be an inquiry in terms of what has actually caused these major service providers who are constructing some of these power stations, in terms of what are their responsibility and roles in putting the country where we are today. And obviously there should be punitive measures as it were.
Yeah. We've had inquiries before, we've had probes into mishaps before at Eskom. Is there anything convincing about what was announced today that tells you that this is a positive way forward for the power utility?
Well, the difficulty is that there are no clear reasons in terms of what caused the suspension, as it were. Yeah. So it is very, very, very difficult. One can only assume, given the high level of the suspension, whether the initial inquiries put blame, for instance, on the responsibility of oversight of the senior management. We don't know at this stage. But it's even more worrisome, given that the CEO is only about a few months. Therefore, there must be something much more deeper than meets the eye, and perhaps no sooner would the Eskom chairman and the board, I think, share what they know with the country. It's very difficult to, because we are not certain what is it that has been investigated, at this stage. And I think within, a day or two, the country must be put into confidence in terms of the inquiry, as it were.
Just very briefly before I let you go, let's just talk about the reputational impact. I want to bring in the ratings agencies here. They look at this sort of thing. 4 executives suspended. What's the consequences as far as our reputation is concerned with these agencies?
Well, you see, the problem that I have generally with agencies, that they tend to react on short-term issues rather than on long-term goals. One would want that the issues are separated. Eskom only a week ago announced a positive step that obviously one of the power units is going to get into the grid. That should be positive. Therefore, one would want rating agencies to look at South Africa, not just as a developing country, but rather as a country with growth pains, as it were.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. Xolani Qubeka from the Black Business Council, thanks indeed for talking to us.
Thanks for the invitation.